Good morning, everybody. Thank you very much, Dr. Srivastava, for your kind words. I must congratulate the orthopedic fraternity of Jabalpur and for starting, apart from many other things, PG courses, conferences, and all those things, this registered society of OLWA. And actually, I understand this is the first academic activity of this, so I really congratulate them. And at the same time, thank the team, OLWA team, and particularly Dr. Vishwas for giving me an opportunity to be a part of this academic program. So, Mr. Chairpersons, my senior, Dr. Nirbhay Srivastava, he was my senior in the medical school, and my friends, I would actually now be speaking on melee and jersey finger. Mallet finger is actually a closed injury, often, which actually results because of the sudden forced flexion of the tip of the finger, an extended fingertip, and resulting into avulsion of the tendon insertion of the central slip from its insertion at the distal phalanx, and which may be with or without an avulsed fragment, and this will result into this kind of clinically a drop finger. It can also be an open injury following laceration, crush injuries, or deep abrasions, and which can result early or late into a swan neck deformity, which is because of the imbalance between the extensor mechanism. It can be classified into acute and chronic, and the timeline is about 4 weeks. There has also been a classification for this, Doyle's classification, which actually dictates the treatment plan. And the type 1 is actually a closed injury of with or without a dorsal or a very small avulsion fragment. Type 2 is actually a lacerated or an open injury. Type 3 is an open injury, which is actually a deep and going up to the involving the whole substance of the tendon. And type 4 is actually the mallet fracture, where there is a large bony fragment. The type 4 can be subdivided into further 3 categories, actually depending upon the size of the bony fragment. The type 1 of this the A type of this is actually a pediatric injury and an epiphyseal injury, whereas the type 2 and 3, they are larger fragments, which actually dictates whether there is also a subluxation of the DIP joint or not. X-ray is important, and the lateral one is the most common, the X-ray, which gives you a very good information, not only about the size of the fragment, but also if there is an associated subluxation of the DIP joint, which actually it shows here. So this kind of dictates, this would be the type 4, and then associated with the subluxation. So this dictates whatever treatment that you do, the subluxation needs to be reduced to get a good result later on. Non-surgical treatment is the standard of care. Even today, most of the fractures, except the ones which perhaps has a subluxation, and if the subluxation can also be reduced, can be treated conservatively with the help of a splint or with the help of a plaster. And this actually can be treated by a splint, mallet finger splint, which is of this kind. You need not give an hyperextension at the DIP joint, because sometimes it can result into a vascular compromise of the dorsum of the skin. So basically you need to do a neutral extension at the DIP joint. The duration is controversial, but it is safer to give it, and most of the literature supports that it should be immobilized for about a period of 6 to 8 weeks in a splint. But in a splint, the patient should be compliant. Even if the patient, he must be instructed that if the patient is removing the splint for cleaning purposes, he should maintain the extension of the DIP joint. There should not be occurring flexion at the DIP joint, which may break the union, and this thing may not unite at all. And therefore, you can see here, this is the immediate injury, this thing X-ray, and with the splint also, this can unite very well. And in fact, the bony fragments, if they are opposed properly, gives a better result, and union can be seen in about 6 to 8 weeks' time. I recently saw a patient treated by somebody else, and this was the X-ray that he had, no lateral view, and you can see perhaps there is a little chip fracture here and a little subluxation, probably a mallet finger, and he was treated with this kind of a slab plaster, which actually immobilizes the whole hand except the site of injury. So this is certainly not the correct method of treatment. As I said, surgical treatment also has a role, particularly in a non-compliant patient and otherwise in professionals like doctors, surgeons, and I've treated many of them, including dentists and all this thing, with actually with surgical management. I'll show you what technique that I commonly use. And there are various methods of fixation of the fragment, and again the immobilization is about 6 to 8 weeks. The open surgical repair has also been advised, done, and surgical repair and splinting is another method of treatment depending upon the type of, as I told you, the displacement. The type 3, where there is loss of skin and other things, open injuries, they are difficult to treat because sometimes they may require local skin coverage in that area and repair and so on and so forth. And if they go on to chronicity, then they may require other salvage procedures like DIP orthodesis and so on. So the type 4, which is the commonly this thing seen with avulsion of the bony fragment and all this thing, there are various things which can be treated: extension splinting, close reduction, internal fixation, open reduction with internal fixation. The problem with internal fixation sometimes is that the fragment sometimes is very small, and whatever method of treatment that you use, even if you use a very small K wire, and if you are not very gentle with the fixation, the fragment may get splintered further and causing more problems. So that one has to be careful when you want to do an internal fixation. So in short, the strategy for treatment would be extension splinting if the fragment size is less than 1/3 the diameter of the bone, and if there is no volar subluxation, as I said, then you can certainly treat it conservatively. And the surgical treatment would otherwise be advocated if there is a fragment size which is more than 1/3 the diameter of the bone, and if there is an associated, which usually is a volar subluxation of the DIP joint. And there are of course many methods described. Some people even done a tension band construct, compression planing, and extension block pinning. And extension block pinning is the treatment method which I commonly use. And this is an example of that. You see a mallet finger with a fracture fragment along with the tendon avulsion. And under anesthesia, whichever kind of anesthesia that you want to use, you acutely flex the DIP joint so much that the fragment comes in this position. This is actually a Japanese technique, Ishiguro technique, also called as extension block pinning. And then you pass a K wire at about 45-degree angle to the middle phalanx. Having done that, this is the way you would put this first wire. Then, having put this wire, you extend it completely, 0-degree extension, and then put another wire through the tip of the distal phalanx, which goes into the middle phalanx, going across the DIP joint. Make sure that you have reduced the subluxation. So now what it does, it will block this fragment between these two Kirschner wires. Be careful that generally the DIP joint is close to the nail bed, and therefore you have to be a little close to the nail to be exactly into the center of the distal phalanx, which is generally, the tip is generally very small. And this is how it would be. And this is, you will keep it for about 6 weeks, and you can see the fragment is very nicely trapped and approximated close to its parent bone, and this will unite very well, leading to a very good result and no extensor lag. Another example, A larger fragment with subluxation treated the same way. This is blocked, entrapped and blocked by these two extension, those two wires. And this is another case. Again, you can see here the obvious subluxation here, and this can be treated with a very good result. The chronic ones, they generally present very late or not treated properly or not complied with properly. They result to pain, with the appearance of the digit there is a drop finger, interference with the use of the finger, and therefore both surgical and non-surgical options, people will still treat these conservatively in a splint for about 8 weeks, and sometimes it works. So even that may be tried as well. Otherwise, there are many salvage operations in the sense that, you can even do, particularly in the open ones, you can do this stenodermodesis. That means you take one single suture. You can take a single suture going right up to the depth of the tendon, from the skin to the tendon, and kind of close it, so, and fix it with a K-wire for about 6 weeks time. This can also work. Or otherwise, there are various other procedures using the ligaments in the, from the extensor expansion, the spiral oblique reticular ligament. This is called as SORL. And the basic principle, as you must understand, is to address the imbalance of the flexion and extension forces, so as to cause, to restore the extension at the DIP joint. And this is another method, Fowler central slip tenotomy. This is also meant to balance the forces, the imbalances thing. Now a word about the Jersey's finger. It is the reverse of the mallet finger. And my friend Shailesh has shown you a few pictures. This is the close avulsion of the insertion of the flexor digitorum profundus from the distal phalanx. This is just the reverse of that. So now we are on the flexor side of the finger. This can also be associated with a bony fragment, commonly seen in athletes. And the most common finger affected is the ring finger, because it has been reported that the insertion of the FDP tendon in the ring finger is anatomically weaker, and therefore it gives way easily. And this is the mechanism. What happens is that if the player is trying to pull the hook, put a hook, his finger as a hook into the jersey of his co-player and trying to pull that, so that just suddenly gives way, and there occurs a fracture from the volar side of the base of the distal phalanx, and leading into this kind of injury, jersey finger. The treatment modalities for fresh injuries, early insertion of the tendon. If it is only a tendon, then you kind of have to open it up and fix it up to insertion to the bone. Or maybe if there is a bony fragment, you can fix it up with the help of a screw. And the neglected injuries, it depends. If the patient is asymptomatic, if it comes much later, then they leave alone, do nothing. Or you can do tenodesis or orthodesis, depending upon the requirement and the duration and the displacement. So to conclude, the melee finger between the two is a common injury. Non-surgical treatment is the treatment of choice in the majority. For surgery, the patient selection is important, as I already told you. And for the jersey finger, generally the surgery is the treatment of choice, except in neglected asymptomatic patients. Thank you very much for your attention.